I'm Major Tim McKee. I'm the commanding officer of 3018 Army Cadet Corps in Orleans. Did the majority of this presentation last year, and Marion asked me to come back and do it again this year for people who didn't have the opportunity to see it last year, or people that are just brand new to the cadet movement or to their support units, support committees. So just by quick show of hands, who here is new to the support committee world? Awesome. Okay, and who's a seasoned veteran of the support committee world or the league? I guess you two gentlemen are the seasoned veterans of the league. What areas are you two gentlemen from? Sorry.
London.
London, both London?
Yep.
And sir?
Just in London area, Palmerston.
Okay, cool. So, I am not here to teach people how to pound salt. You either have some experience or no experience in the world with the league, and we just want to talk to you about what happened with 3018. I was so eloquently reminded a little while ago that 3018 at one point was a cadet corps of almost 200. We were in a beautiful facility called TPOV in Orleans. It's the RCMP headquarters building, their training facility. And it was the land environmental test facility for D&D for a number of years. Dinner ticket for someone.
What did he get the guy that just come in there?
Oh, just follow my hand.
So,
No dinner for me.
So 3018 had a lot going for it at the time. Everything was great. Facilities, there was property there where they could actually do their field training exercises. The RCMP got a new commandant in the area who said, you know what? No, this is a high security building. We can't have cadets anymore. They were kicked out. Some other things happened, like happens to many cadet corps across the province, across the country. And 3018 fell to about 20-25 cadets. They were deemed as homeless, and when we had Cadence Magazine, one of the actual last editions of Cadence Magazine actually featured 3018 as one of the homeless cadet corps. I was the training officer. My training files went into the trunk of my vehicle at the end of the day, and I went home. We had no supply. We were in one of those rental storage units, one of the auction hunter units, and it wasn't conducive to being a successful cadet corps. We got a home. Our regiment, our affiliated unit, got a facility in Orleans, and we started to build from there. So I took over as the CO 2.5 years ago, and we had 34 cadets. As of our Fortress stats, this past week we have 154 now, of which we have 93% attendance. So this is not, we have, I love, who here has their unit, somebody at the admin or somebody at the unit say, well, on paper we've got. Okay, well, we don't have paper anymore, we have Fortress. And Fortress will tell you whether cadets are present or not present. We're going to talk about how we get those numbers and why we retain those numbers and how things go. That'll be where we go from here. So the first thing I want to talk about is 3018 ourselves. So we are affiliated to the 33rd Combat Engineer Regiment, and we have given the Cadet Corps a team name, the Beavers. So we do a lot of things about the Beavers. We have to be very careful because there is some slang around the word beavers, and we make sure that the cadets understand that the beaver that we are talking about is the Canadian symbol. So our biathlon team, our orienteering team, our shooting team are very proud of the fact that they are one of the Beavers teams. Our uniforms don't say that because that's not one of the official logos. That's just our pet logo. We also have Norman. You'll see Norman later. He's a very important part of our cadet unit. Biggest problem we had initially when I took over as the CO of the unit was communication. Who here has communication problems with their cadet unit? Okay. Not just internally. But, you know, getting out the message, not just to the cadets. I know that there's no one in here who has a parent registered as one of their cadets of their unit, correct? And who needs the information more than the cadets?
Parents.
Parents. So we have to come up with ways of reaching out to the parents. So we've done that with 3 steps. So we have the 3018 newsletter. That newsletter goes out every other month, and it keeps everyone up to date as to what's going on. We also have a whiteboard that stays up behind our administration area. It's called the Daily Beaver, and basically it's a month in advance of all the activities, so that people who don't necessarily read their emails, they do have a moment in time where they can take a snapshot view of what's coming up, and they see what's happening. Take a look at this young man. You're going to see him a little later, and if anybody wants to talk to me about Tyler Preston, we'll have that chat. Who here uses what's called CadetNet? And I say that, and I don't want to sound mocking about CadetNet. It's an amazing tool. CadetNet is our official method of communication in the cadet world. It has a calendar that can be made public. So this is an opportunity for those of you on the CIC side, on the staff side of the units, to be able to update information and have the cadets and their parents view it online. We can also attach notes. So if we have a permission form, a kit list, an OPSO for an exercise, we can upload it into that day, and it can say, OPSO for this weekend's exercise here. Click on it, the document is there, and it's all within the CadetNet product. There's no cost. It's just a little bit of administration time, and very simple. I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I never have been accused of being all that bright. I can do this. Any questions about CadetNet while we're there? Yeah.
I can't quite read the URL.
It is cadets, so no www. Cadets.gc.ca, and in our case, /3018 Army Cal, C-A-L. Go on to ours, have a look around, poke around in it, see what you like, see what you don't like. And sticking with communication, we have a product called Call 'Em All that we use. And I know a number of the detachments have been promoting this. So it is found at www.callemmall.com. Cool thing about Call 'Em All is we can set broadcasts. We can telephone broadcast all the information that we need sent out. We can send it out by star level. We can send it out by any group that we decide to set it up as. And where it gets really, really neat, and I tried to, there's something wrong with the Wi-Fi, it won't let me in. And I had all this set up because I have to go onto the internet to see it, to show you all the details. This actually gives us a complete report as to who answered the phone call, whose answering machine answered the phone call, or in some cases if the phone was busy. When the phone is busy, that allows us to quickly go, make that quick, oh, so-and-so didn't get the call. We send an email to the email address. Go to the core calendar, go to here, here's the phone message, or depending on how creative my training staff want to be that day, they can actually grab this message that they made at this listen point, save that phone message, and attach it to an email. Going back to my calendar, we do take that phone message and attach it onto the calendar, this week's message. Parents can then open that if they missed the call. Right? Initially we were hearing oh, my little brother answered the phone and he hung it up. We don't know what the call was. Go online, check. right? Yeah,
Whose responsibility is that?
it's my training officer's responsibility, Wednesday night at
It's
7
not one
o'clock.
of the children, not one of the adults.
The genesis for us using this was a snowstorm. And it was a snowstorm while I was on TD in Trenton. And we had to get a message out. At that point, it was like 95 cadets. And we had no idea how we were going to make that work. That phone tree was not going to work. Yes, you will get arguments from cadet units. Well, having the seniors call is a leadership tasking. Really? You really think that that is a leadership tasking? We had, I'll build on that in one second. We had our cadets, there's complementary training, or common training, where the level 2s, the Red Stars, go to another elements cadet unit for training on their training unit. So we were having our Red Stars go to the Air Cadets instead of coming to our parade night. They parade at St. Joseph's School on Carrier. The message went out for the cadets to go to Carrier School on St. Joseph. The leadership tasking worked. They took what they heard, they passed it on. The failure was somewhere else. Anybody ever hear the thing about Purple Monkey Dishwasher? When you play that telephone game? Okay? Through 7 sets of hands, and they're kids, right? And they're taking messages and they're writing stuff down, and there's a spelling mistake, and then Susie tells Johnny, who tells Bobby, who tells Sally. So it became a problem. This fixed it like that. One phone call goes out to everybody. We have, because of the level that we're at the 100 to 250 phone calls. It's $55 a month. For some units, yes, $600 a year could be a lot of money. For us, that's not so bad, but that's unlimited phone calls to up to that many phone numbers. So I could ruin my families, my cadet families. It was really fun during the election when we called all the liberal, anyway, phenomenal tool. Anybody who wants to know more about it, I'm more than happy to share information about Call 'Em All. You had a question?
I just wanted to say that my frustration has built since my son's been in cadets the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Everybody has mobiles now.
Yeah.
Nobody is at home.
Yeah.
People are approached by email, phone, this, that, and everything. It's incredibly inefficient. The phone tree has become incredibly inefficient.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
This looks great.
It's simple. Pardon?
This looks great except for the cost.
Okay, how many kids do you have in your unit?
60.
60, so you're gonna be $35 a month. Under 50, it's like $20 a month. Okay, it's just because of the number of kids that we have. Go on, have a look at it. And if you are signing up, let me know. I'll give you a code to put in, because then we get a half month free.
We paired up with another cadet corps.
You paired up with another cadet. Oh, to use Call 'Em All? Sure, sure.
Yeah. So
Excellent.
we have, enough numbers that we can cover that have to come.
Perfect, perfect. So yeah, if you've got another unit in your community. Yeah,
Got one particular cadet that's got 4 sets of parents. So we could just put in all the phone numbers, just.
I would suggest that you sharpen that down to maybe 2.
Doesn't work.
Wow. I think sometimes, okay, and I'm gonna just put on my, excuse me, I work in an environment where sometimes we curse. But I'm gonna put on my I'm a prick hat here, okay? That's not your problem, right? There's certain points in time where accommodation is really important, right? We have kids that have special, really 4 families, 2 will do. And you know what? Those 2 families should be the 2 that are the most reliable. They can reach out to the other 2. Really, at the end of the day, sorry. But I love our cadets.
And their parents.
The other thing about communication, we have a closed group Facebook page. Closed group, which means anyone who wants to join the group has to ask my permission. If I do not recognize your name, you do not get onto our Facebook group. I have people, other CIC officers from other parts of the country, other parts of the province that are members of our group because they want to see what we're doing. But if a kid has a different last name than their parent, which I love, is when the parent applies and I say no. And I get these storming parents coming up to the admin officer on Wednesday night. You guys said I couldn't join your group. Well, no, the CO said you couldn't join the group. Why is that? Well, I don't know. What's your last name? What's your kid's last name? Well, that's why. And all of a sudden, that really angry parent goes, wow, you're protecting my kid. So that works out really well. And our cadets, not our staff, our cadets administer their own website. It's cool. They put up pictures, they put up information, and a lot of really interesting things. Captain Lonis is going to talk to you, if you go and see his session, about what's allowed and what's not allowed when it comes to the electronic medium. Have a chat with him before you allow your cadets to do something like this. We know what the guidelines are. We're very, very, very careful. We think that we're tipping one of the guidelines right now, and we're just looking for clarification from the directorate. So, yeah.
In terms of your Facebook page, who's the owner?
I am.
Administrator? You are.
I am.
So if you were no longer the CEO for whatever reason,
I would give admin rights to the new CO, and if that CO decided that they didn't want it, it's up to them.
okay, because 2870's page is administered by a kid who used to be a cadet,
Yeah, I know.
and he's removing posts, he's commenting on stuff, and nobody knows who this person is.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
So,
It should be an adult, and it should be someone in the chain of command. Anybody ever seen one of those? Anybody here got a smartphone that's got a QR code scanner on it? See where that takes you. I mentioned my civilian job. I actually work for Post Media, and in particular the Ottawa Citizen. We randomly put this QR code in the paper. And with Google Analytics, we find, and this is really neat about phones being toys, the days that we put this in, we will get spikes of traffic on our Cadet Corps webpage of thousands in a day. Thousands of visits in one day when this runs in the Ottawa Citizen. And we just put it in as a filler, like it goes in as a filler ad. So it's like 1 column wide or 2 columns wide by 20 agates high, which is, yeah. And so it's literally this big, and we'll get thousands of hits. We're mobilizing our site right now. It's not mobile optimized. So we're having somebody mobile optimize us for smartphones, and we're getting there. But what do you think the kids think about this? Where does that put us? Yeah, kids don't like the word hip.
No hipsters, actually.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. Yeah, I could show you the way some of my cadets walk around when they're not in uniform. I showed this at the EOACO's conference, and actually Colonel McMillan asked me to do this at the COA CO's conference. And it's an idea that I stole actually from a military college in the States, where the headmaster or colonel of the school would send out postcards. Because it was a boarding school, he would send out postcards to the families of the students, the cadets, telling them of the successes or the failures, but usually not failures, that was a different letter. But sending home little messages about successes. So I got talking about it with somebody else, and we thought, well, wouldn't that be cool if kid has perfect attendance for a month, who was having kind of sketchy attendance at one point, or someone who was really having difficulty with his boots, or she was having difficulty with her hair, or those sorts of things, that we would send a card home from the CO saying, hey, you know what I noticed? I noticed that Bloggins has been doing great at XYZ. can you just do me a favor and give him a pat on the shoulder for me? I get so many thank yous from those parents. And what happens is these postcards go up on their fridge, they go up on the bulletin board, and the kids get filled with that much more pride. One of the things that we're talking about right now, and was mentioned during the speeches this morning, is the Cadet Program Growth Initiative. And the first phase was to stop the bleeding. So what are people doing? What are you guys doing at your units to congratulate those great cadets? What are you doing to motivate the not quite great cadets to become great cadets? Those are different challenges. And the postcard program helps stop the bleeding. How many here would do something again for somebody if that person said thank you? Just by nod, right? It's a no-brainer, right? If you just reach out to somebody every now and again and say, you know what, Sean? You're doing a great job. Thanks very much. Right? Sean's going to have a little bit more bravado. He's going to walk into his next meeting. He's going to do better. Like Sean needs more, I know.
Don't be jealous.
I remember when he told me to put my heels together, Lieutenant.
Oh, it was
And
a joke. You were a good turn, it was a joke.
I'm going to pass some out. You're more than welcome. I'm going to shuffle them up because we've got the Beavers ones and we've got the... Just pass them around. And please, if you already know about the program or using it, don't take one. And if we need more, I just want to make sure there's enough for both sessions. Here's the thing. Cost. Something like this can be kind of expensive. At the Ottawa Citizen, we also have a press. When we produce postcards for our clients, we charge $200 $1,000. Do you know how long 1,000 postcards will last you? Well, I went to my VP and said, well, you know what, it is a charity, so if we put Ottawa Citizen through the middle, you should do them for us for free. Chances are pretty darn good that you have a business in your community that would be happy to pay for these for you. To say, sponsored by Bob's Towing. Because that's going to hang around, and Bob's Towing is going to have their name. Are there going to be enough to go around? Yeah. So the biggest cost is, what is it, 87 cents to send a letter in Canada now? That's your cost. One of the units from COA turned it into a gift card, where if you got a postcard for perfect attendance for a period of time, you got $1 or $1.50 worth of stuff at the canteen. Whatever. Hey, those of you that are support committee, remember it's the league's responsibility to attract and retain cadets, right? It's not D&D's responsibility. It's your job to get them. Right? It's also your job to get CIC officers. Keep that in mind. Who here has problems with money?
Nope, no one.
Good. Good. Money's just free flowing. Our support committee uses fundraising activities to be an attraction medium. We do what's called a push-up-a-thon. Corey had one of the pictures up during the presentation. The slave master's in the middle, pushing the kids to work really hard. Basically what happens is our cadets go out and they get pledges from friends and family. If the parent wants to go door to door with them or sit in the car while the cadet goes door to door, they're more than welcome to, but the cadets are not to go soliciting sponsorship without a parent. We've had some smart kids who actually Google Earthed some neighborhoods. Swear to God. Street viewed some neighborhoods for his parents to take him to, and he said that he met the real Tony Soprano, who gave him $100 for the push-up-a-thon. A brownie. Anyways, so what happens is, the cadets are given their pledge forms, and they're told if they get $100 worth of pledges, they'll get a $20 gift card to the mall. Traded 20 bucks for 100, not bad. If they get $200 worth of pledges, they get a $50 gift card, and the cadet who gets the most pledges gets a $100 gift card. Sport committee's more than happy to buy those, right? It's found money. $7,000 they made last year during the push-up-a-thon. The goal was 3,018 push-ups in 2 hours. Because they're doing the wave, right? 1 push-up, sir, 2 push-ups, sir, 3 push-ups, sir. They actually did 6,036. It was great. We had spares standing around so we could sub kids in. We had our promotion materials up. You'll see them in future slides. So it became a community awareness. We had a couple kids with tagging boxes if somebody wanted to donate at the time for a and get a tag. We had lots of cadet literature around. We actually got 10 new cadets in April last year after the last push-up-a-thon. Kids who were signed up, all of whom came back in September, by the way. Okay, even though they didn't get to go to camp. But still, it was a huge, huge boom for the Cadet Corps.
And you did it at the mall?
We did it at Place d'Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how many, a lot of the smaller communities, Burkes Falls, I don't think has a big indoor mall, but they have, you know what? You've got that grocery store right off the highway that's got the liquor store. You could use the parking lot outside, just clean up some area, put out some ground sheets, some half shelters for the kids' hands. There's all sorts of places you can do this. And we've had large newspapers come and do stories about it. Not that we have connections or anything, but you know what? Those things all help. And the money's not bad either. Yeah.
I just missed a couple of details there. How long did this take? How many push-ups did you say the cadets did?
3,018 was the goal. The first 2 years they didn't quite make it. That's because the kids did too much talking. So this past year when they did it, we actually had a counter. And we didn't have the kids do the whole, part of the fun was supposed to be they'd be in the up position and they would say, 1,457 push-ups, sir. We're a bilingual cadet corps. Right? So that last kid was English, the next kid's French, and he's trying to translate that into English, right? And then add a number to it. So it was getting confusing for the kids. So what we did was, we took away the whole X number of push-ups, sir, and go down again. Plus, so they just counted out, they just said their number. But then we also changed how many cadets were on the floor at a time. We went to 50. Because the kids always had the same, they only had 2 numbers to think about, right? 7 and 57, 33 and 83. It was just a mishmash. It was a circle, right? And it was just however many kids were in there. So we went and we changed the size of the group. We have spares. We have other kids around. We typically, last year we had almost 100 kids at the mall during the activity. So it was a huge outpouring to the community that we were there. The mall even put up signs during the week leading up to it, and the mall has a Facebook friend page, and they talk like it. You can market it and turn it into a lot of things.
How long did it take you to do your 3,000 and some?
So the first 2 years, before we figured out what we were doing wrong, the first year it took us like 10 minutes more. The second year we were like 2 minutes over. And then this past year it was going so well, that's why we said, okay, you know what, at 45 minutes, they were done. So we added the extra 3,018 just because the parents weren't coming back, so we may as well be doing something.
She basically did it over 1 hour.
Yeah, it took us 2 hours and we did double. So, and that falls into community involvement, right? You're bringing the community into you. So what are you going to do for the community to keep yourself alive and vibrant in front of them? Our biggest partner, right? I had somebody say in a session that I was in somewhere at a point in time. Well, you know, so-and-so Cadet Corps is supported by 3 legions, and our Cadet Corps barely gets any support from our legion, and our legion is one of the 3 that supports the other corps. Well, what do you do for them? What do you do for them? Really? You're just there with hat in hand? Write me a check? There's so much stuff. And I don't want to look like I'm standing on a soapbox right now. Dawn's seen me stand on soapboxes before when I've been teaching. But these guys, they're veterans, right? Forget all the other shit. These guys, you know, a lot of them are Korean War veterans and recent, you know, they've been Afghan war veterans and other stuff in Iraq and Kuwait, and you know what? They put their lives out for us, and they didn't ask us for a check. So what are you going to do for them? We have our cadets do anything my Legion President or Legion Liaison Officer asks. I don't care what it is, as long as it falls within the rules of the cadet program and nothing wrong is going to happen, we will do whatever they want. Full stop. We have 4 cadets every single Saturday morning. We have 4 cadets right now. It's 10:30, right? We have 4 cadets right now at our Legion, clearing tables and serving tables for the Legion breakfast. Why not? Right? They asked. So don't expect something for nothing. And that's part of your community involvement. Who are the best people for you outside of your cadet families to be talking about the greatness of the cadet program? It's your Legion, right? They've got lots of families and friends, and so just please keep that in mind. And veterans in general, again, we're quite lucky that we're in Ottawa. I'll give that, okay? We have more opportunities to do things with Veterans Affairs and that sort of stuff. Going to Parliament is just something that's easy for us, right? But those are community events, community activities that we can do. And again, it's being involved and saying, yes, you're trying to pick something out there. Those 2 ladies on the side, what are you trying to see?
No, it's just from here, we're looking at it, and we can, like, it almost looks like a computer, just one.
Oh, they all look alike. I'm telling you, the only way you can tell 2 cadets apart is their cap badge. Really. And you've heard the expression, right? You can always tell a cadet, just not much at once. Right? And other community involvement things, there used to be a great program called Cadets Caring for Canada. It's gone, but why does it have to be a program? Put a bunch of hippie vests on the kids and have them clean the side of the street. We do this activity in the spring. We actually get people pulling over and asking what we're doing. Who are these people? I love saying that they're prisoners. And we have a Santa Claus parade. It's a night parade, and we have the regiment help us decorate an ML, or the new whichever, MSLV, whatever. And the kids march behind it, and it's so much fun. And again, recognition for the unit. We'll have the flag party out in front of the vehicle with a big Corps banner, and it's fantastic. Fresh activities. Who here has a Cadet Corps that has one training plan that just changes the dates on it every year? And it's the same 3 exercises. We tried this a couple years ago, and we're doing it again in May. It's called the Adventure Challenge. Anybody here ever see The Amazing Race? So what we did and are doing now, we've got the final stages are done, our ops order is done, and we'll be putting in our RSS for an unsupported activity, or sorry for those of you in different areas, RSSTA, for an unsupported activity. And basically our cadets will start on a Saturday morning. We're starting at a tree planting ceremony where the cadets all will plant a tree to get their next clue. And they work in teams of 5 or 6, and they go from clue to clue across the city of Ottawa. They're all given weekend bus passes, they're all given a safety card, Safety card has the cell phone and landline numbers of every one of my staff that are on duty for that exercise. They also get 4 quarters. The 4 quarters is, of course, for 2 phone calls, in case they get split up. Each team has a cell phone, each team has a camera. They get their t-shirts, their backpacks, and all that other stuff. And the intent is that as a team, we have all the different levels are addressed throughout the course of the activity over the 2 days. So there are some Green Star oriented activities. So the Green Star on that team has to do that activity. It's based on their developmental period, right? So if they're a DP1 cadet, they're going to do something this way. If they're a senior cadet, so that senior cadet on the team, when they get into this particular area, has to actually create and set out a geocache, because that's part of the level 4 training. So they've been taught how to do geocaching. And throughout the exercise there are 2 challenges that are GPS geocaching oriented, but then at one point the Gold Star cadet on the team has to create a geocache, take it to the parent or CIC officer, whomever it is, because we haven't actually set up the taskings yet for the staff. Go to them, get approval, is the logbook right, have they done this right, is it sealed properly, is it this, is it that, to get their next clue. So all those things, oh yeah, each team has a GPS, that's right. It's a new way of having a year-end activity that's meaningful. Last year we took them whitewater rafting. Right? It was 2 days, we camped, we did all sorts of stuff, there was mountain biking and rock wall climbing and all sorts of stuff. Great! But did it test anything that they did during the year? Did it put any of the tactical to practical? Right? Did we take anything and say, hey, this is tangible stuff. We learned stuff this year. Oh my God. And look, I used it out in the real world. So it put all those pieces to the puzzle together for them, and maybe they only had the 4 corners in play, but now they've got the whole puzzle done, right? I said that we had another mascot named Norman. So this is Norman. He's actually a Crocodile Dundee beaver, and the reason why his name is Norman is the Royal Canadian Engineers have won 1 Victoria Cross. It was Colson Norman Mitchell, won it in World War II. So his name is Norman, and that's where he got his name from. And you know those t-shirts? Oh, and my favorite story from this, on Sunday morning, we got a phone call, and we have a little thing that we do at the Corps. Anyways, we get this phone call, and it's this lady saying, I found this cell phone, and this is the ICE number on this cell phone. I don't know whose cell phone it is, and I said, oh, thanks for calling. Where are you? And she said, well, I'm at the Greenboro station. Anybody from Ottawa, it's the O train station. I said, oh, okay, so it's from one of my cadets. I said, is there a group of kids close by with beige colored t-shirts, all with matching backpacks? And she said, yeah. And I said, can you in a loud voice say 2 claps and a gunshot? We have this thing where if at any point in time, any of the staff say 2 claps and a gunshot, everything at the Corps stops, and immediately the kids go, bang. It's incredible to hear 120 kids do this. When they're just talking away, they could be doing this, and I just randomly say 2 claps and a gunshot, bang. Anyways, so this lady says 2 claps and a gunshot, and all I hear in the background is clap, clap, bang. And she starts laughing hysterically. I said, you can give the phone to them. It was pretty cool. So great. Logistically, the setup is more intensive than any other exercise your staff would put pen to paper about. From a reward position, to watch those kids, and these are kids coming to the finish line, right? And they were skipping and laughing their heads off. They had 2 days of the most fun they'd ever had. And then, did it pay off? We use a product called SurveyMonkey. Sounds ridiculous. The website is exactly that, surveymonkey.com. It's free. And we create surveys twice a year. We have one for the cadets and one for the parents. How are we doing? Do you find that we're delivering the product that you were expecting? How would you rate us in this category? If we had the opportunity to do these 5 things, which would be your priority? Etc., etc. We can have the 10 questions, I think it is, for free. The results are amazing. The results are amazing. So it gives you a temperature check with your kids and with the parents, and that way you know. From a support committee perspective, please don't use this to blindside the staff of the Cadet Corps. That's not what the intent is. Now there's units out there that would do that. This is a tool, and remember, everything we do we learn from, right? We make mistakes. If I had $1 for every mistake I've made since I've been the CO at the cadet unit, we would do no fundraising. Powerful, powerful, powerful. And then you can put the reports together, and you can sit with staff, you can sit amongst yourselves at the support committee, you know. One of the questions was, in the most recent one to the parents, would you be willing to buy your child out of tagging duty?
Good one.
We did an explanation. Almost 50% said yes.
Wow.
Okay? So that's interesting. That's an interesting question to ask your parents. Or, you know, I understand the community involvement and the volunteerism and that sort of stuff, but you know what? If I'm given the opportunity to cut you a check for $100 or have to go and sell cookie dough, and how much effort do you put into selling cookie dough to make $1,000? You know what? If I took all the volunteers at my unit and said, would you rather try to fundraise to get $1,000 if it took you each 5 hours, or would you each rather give me $50? What do you think the answer would be? $50. Marion talked about it this morning. Dawn talked